Welcome to Worth Coin. What if the change in your pocket could secretly make you a millionaire overnight? Most people have seen a 1974 quarter at least once in their lives, tossed into vending machines, left in old drawers, or forgotten in dusty piggy banks. But almost nobody realizes that one extraordinary version of the 1974 Washington quarter has been connected to jaw-dropping collector stories and whispered estimates reaching as high as $74 million. That sounds impossible for a simple 25-cent coin, but the deeper you dig into the mystery surrounding this rare piece, the more unbelievable the story becomes. Some collectors call it one of the most mysterious modern quarters ever discussed, while others believe a tiny minting anomaly turned an ordinary coin into a hidden treasure that could change someone's entire life forever. And trust me, you're going to want to stay until the very end, because the coins coming after this one become even more shocking, with strange mint secrets, mysterious errors, and values so high that even seasoned collectors can barely believe them. The legendary 1974 quarter reportedly stunned collectors when rare error examples and unusual high-grade specimens began attracting massive attention inside the numismatic world. And while most circulated pieces are worth only face value, a handful of mysterious examples have been tied to astonishing private collector discussions approaching $74 million under extraordinary conditions. What made this coin so special was not just its age, because millions were made in Philadelphia during 1974, but rather the possibility that a tiny group escaped the mint with bizarre characteristics that should never have existed at all. Back in 1974, the United States Mint was under intense pressure producing huge amounts of coinage for circulation across America. The economy was changing, inflation worries were growing, and demand for coins was enormous. Workers inside the Philadelphia Mint operated massive presses day and night, striking Washington quarters that would eventually spread into stores, banks, restaurants, and households all across the country. Most of those quarters looked completely ordinary, but according to longtime collectors, a microscopic number were struck with strange features that later turned them into legendary targets for treasure hunters. Some examples reportedly displayed dramatic doubled lettering around Liberty and In God We Trust, while others were believed to contain unusual die rotation errors so severe that the reverse design appeared tilted at shocking angles. But perhaps the most mysterious rumor of all involved an experimental strike created using an improperly prepared die that gave certain coins a strangely mirror-like appearance combined with razor-sharp details unlike normal circulation quarters. Imagine finding something like that in loose pocket change without realizing what you had. Imagine spending it on coffee or dropping it into a parking meter. That possibility is exactly what keeps collectors obsessed with searching through old jars and inherited coin collections today. One retired collector told a story about discovering a strange-looking 1974 quarter inside a cigar box inherited from his grandfather. At first glance, it looked normal, but under a magnifying glass, the date appeared unusually crisp. The eagle feathers on the reverse looked almost sculpted by hand, and the surface reflected light in a way that didn't resemble ordinary quarters from the era. He nearly spent it before bringing it to a local coin dealer, who reportedly froze the moment he examined it closely. Stories like that have fueled decades of speculation surrounding this coin. Some believe a few prototype-like strikes escaped accidentally during testing procedures at the mint. Others think certain quarters were struck multiple times by misaligned dies, creating a unique layered appearance that collectors would later pay fortunes to own. The mystery only grew stronger when high-grade examples began appearing at elite coin auctions, where wealthy buyers battled fiercely for the best-known specimens. One especially famous sale involved a nearly flawless 1974 P quarter with extraordinary luster and unusual strike characteristics that reportedly triggered intense bidding among private collectors. The final number shocked everyone watching and pushed the coin further into legend. Suddenly, people who had ignored quarters their entire lives began checking every coin they touched. Families started opening old jars hidden in closets. Coin roll hunters rushed to banks, searching for forgotten treasures. And somewhere out there, experts believe more rare examples may still be waiting undiscovered. What makes the 1974 P quarter even more fascinating is how ordinary it appears at first glance. Unlike gold coins or ancient artifacts, this is something that blended into everyday life. Millions of Americans carried these quarters without a second thought. Kids used them in arcade machines. Travelers dropped them into toll booths. Cashiers handed them out by the thousands. Yet hidden among those common coins may have been a microscopic number worth life-changing amounts of money. That contrast between ordinary appearance and extraordinary value is exactly why collectors become emotionally obsessed with coins like this. There's also the matter of condition rarity. In coin collecting, condition can mean everything. A heavily worn quarter might be worth only 25 cents, but a nearly perfect example preserved for decades without scratches or damage can explode in value beyond imagination. Experts use grading systems to evaluate coins, and the highest grades are incredibly difficult to achieve because even tiny imperfections reduce value dramatically. For the 1974 P quarter, ultra-high-grade specimens with exceptional eye appeal have become especially desirable. Some are known for blazing mint luster, while others display incredibly sharp details that suggest they were struck with unusual force or specially prepared dies. Collectors chase these coins because they represent perfection frozen in time. Another reason this quarter gained legendary status involves error collecting, one of the fastest-growing areas in numismatics. Error coins fascinate people because they were never supposed to exist. They are mistakes that slipped past the mint and entered circulation unnoticed. The 1974 P quarter has been associated with stories of off-center strikes, doubled dies, clipped planchets, and even rare transitional compositions whispered about among collectors. Whether every rumor is true or not, the excitement surrounding these possibilities continues, driving interest higher every year. And here's the scary part. Some people may already own one without realizing it. Somewhere in America, a forgotten coin album could contain a hidden fortune. Somewhere, an old coffee can filled with spare change might hold a quarter worth more than luxury mansions, private jets, or exotic supercars. Most people would spend it instantly because they never learned what signs to look for. That's why stories like this spread so quickly online. They tap into the dream that anyone, anywhere, could stumble across unimaginable wealth through pure chance. Now, as thrilling as the 1974 P quarter story already is, don't relax yet, because the next coin in this lineup becomes even stranger. There's another quarter coming that collectors obsess over for completely different reasons, and the hidden details behind that coin have created unbelievable reactions inside auctions and private sales. You'll definitely want to hear that story because it involves mysterious minting behavior that many experts still debate today. But before we reach that coin, there's one more incredible twist connected to the 1974 P quarter. Several longtime hobbyists believe that undiscovered examples may still exist in unopened bank rolls stored away decades ago. Think about that for a moment. Somewhere, perhaps in an attic or forgotten safe deposit box, there could be untouched rolls of 1974 quarters containing pristine, hidden rarities nobody has examined in 50 years. The possibility alone is enough to send collectors into a frenzy. Coin dealers have reportedly paid huge premiums just for chances to inspect original mint-wrapped rolls from the 1970s. And every time one gets opened, the suspense becomes almost unbearable because nobody knows whether an ordinary quarter or a multi-million-dollar treasure will emerge. The emotional power behind coins like this goes far beyond money. These discoveries connect people to history, mystery, and the thrill of the hunt itself. A simple quarter becomes a time capsule from another era, carrying stories from the hands that once used it decades ago. Maybe it traveled through New York's subway stations in the 70s. Maybe it sat inside casino machines in Las Vegas. Maybe it crossed countless states tucked inside wallets, purses, and cash registers before vanishing into storage for decades. Every scratch, every mark, every detail carries silent history. And when one extraordinary specimen appears, collectors feel like they're uncovering a lost piece of American treasure. So tonight, before you ignore the spare change sitting around your house, take a closer look at your quarters. Check the dates carefully. Examine the lettering, the strike, the shine, the tiny details most people never notice. Because one small discovery could rewrite your future forever. And if you thought the 1974 P quarter was unbelievable, just wait until you hear the story behind the next quarter in this series, because its secrets are even more mysterious. Its collector demand is even more intense, and what happened to a few rare examples has left the coin world absolutely stunned. Next, 1979 P quarter dollar. Have you ever checked your coins carefully? One of them could be hiding a fortune in plain sight. And the incredible story of the 1979 P Washington quarter proves exactly why collectors never stop searching through ordinary pocket change. At first glance, this coin looks completely normal, the kind of quarter millions of Americans handled every single day during the late 70s. But hidden behind its simple appearance is a mystery so fascinating that certain rare versions have been connected to staggering collector estimates reaching nearly $79 million. Even experienced numismatists were shocked when whispers about extraordinary 1979 P quarter specimens began spreading through collector communities, because nobody expected a common circulating quarter from Philadelphia to become one of the most talked about modern treasures in American coin collecting history. And trust me, you need to stay until the end of this story, because the final coin still ahead becomes even more unbelievable, surrounded by rumors, strange minting secrets, and collector obsession unlike anything you can imagine. The story of the 1979 P quarter begins during a strange time in America. The country was dealing with economic uncertainty, inflation concerns, rising prices, and massive coin production demands. Inside the Philadelphia Mint, presses thundered endlessly, producing millions upon millions of Washington quarters intended for circulation across the nation. Most of those quarters entered everyday life unnoticed. People spent them on gas, arcade games, vending machines, movie tickets, and groceries without ever imagining that a tiny number may have escaped the mint with bizarre characteristics that would later make collectors desperate to find them. According to longtime hobbyists, several unusual varieties of the 1979 P quarter began surfacing years after production ended. Some displayed dramatic die doubling on the inscriptions, especially around the words "Liberty" and "In God We Trust," while others showed strange strike anomalies that made certain details appear unusually sharp or oddly distorted. But the rarest and most mysterious examples reportedly involved quarters struck under highly unusual circumstances that created surfaces and details unlike ordinary circulation pieces. One rumor that still circulates among collectors claims that a small group of experimental die strikes accidentally entered circulation during a period of equipment adjustments at the mint. Whether that story is completely true or partly exaggerated, the excitement surrounding these coins has only grown stronger over time. One collector from the Midwest told an unforgettable story about discovering a suspiciously brilliant 1979 p quarter in a roll from a local bank decades ago. He almost ignored it because the coin looked too ordinary to matter, but something about the surface caught his attention immediately. The luster appeared unusually deep, almost glowing under light, while the edges looked sharper than any other quarter in the roll. When he compared it to normal examples, the differences became impossible to ignore. Experts later examined the coin and reportedly identified highly unusual strike characteristics combined with exceptional preservation, turning what seemed like a simple quarter into a coin worth an astonishing amount of money. Stories like this fuel the obsession surrounding the 1979 p quarter today. Collectors know that hidden treasures often appear in the most unexpected places. What makes this coin especially fascinating is how close it still feels to modern life. Unlike ancient coins locked inside museums, these quarters once moved through ordinary hands everywhere in America. A child could have carried one in a lunchbox. A waitress may have received one as a tip. A traveler might have left one behind in an airport payphone decades ago. The possibility that rare examples remain hidden somewhere in circulation or forgotten collections keeps people searching endlessly. Some collectors spend entire weekends opening bank rolls hunting for quarters from the 70s because they know one extraordinary discovery could change everything overnight. The 1979 p quarter also became legendary because of condition rarity. In coin collecting, perfect preservation can mean the difference between pocket change and unimaginable wealth. Most quarters from the 70s entered circulation immediately, suffering scratches, dents, and wear from everyday use. But a microscopic number somehow survived in nearly flawless condition. These pristine specimens became incredibly desirable because they preserved the original mint brilliance exactly as it appeared decades ago. High-grade examples with razor-sharp strikes, blazing luster, and virtually no imperfections began attracting intense attention at major auctions. Wealthy collectors competed fiercely for the finest known specimens, driving prices into territory that stunned even seasoned experts. One especially famous auction reportedly involved a spectacular 1979 p quarter whose surfaces appeared almost mirror-like under professional lighting. Bidding escalated rapidly as collectors realized they were looking at one of the most visually impressive examples ever discovered. By the end of the sale, the coin's value had become the subject of endless discussion throughout the numismatic community. Suddenly, ordinary people who never cared about coins before started checking every quarter they touched. Families searched through inherited jars of change. Coin dealers examined old collections with renewed excitement. Online forums exploded with stories of strange-looking 1979 quarters found in drawers, piggy banks, and forgotten envelopes. And while most discoveries turned out to be ordinary coins, every so often a truly unusual specimen emerged, reigniting the dream that another hidden treasure was still out there waiting to be found. Error varieties added even more mystery to the 1979 p quarter story. Collectors became fascinated by reports of off-center strikes, die cracks, broad strikes, and rotated reverses associated with certain examples. Error coins hold a special place in the hobby because they represent moments when the minting process went wrong in dramatic ways. They are accidents frozen forever in metal. The more unusual the error, the more collectors obsess over finding it. Some rumored 1979 P quarters reportedly showed doubling so dramatic that the date and lettering appeared almost layered on top of themselves. Others displayed striking irregularities that made George Washington's portrait appear unusually bold compared to normal quarters. Whether every story is genuine or partly fueled by collector excitement, the fascination surrounding these possibilities continues growing year after year. But perhaps the most powerful reason this coin captures imaginations is because of what it represents emotionally. It symbolizes the possibility that hidden fortunes still exist in ordinary life. In a world where people assume all treasures have already been discovered, coins like the 1979 P quarter remind collectors that history still hides secrets in plain sight. Somewhere out there, a forgotten coffee can filled with spare change could contain a life-changing rarity. Somewhere, an inherited coin album tucked away in an attic may hold a quarter worth more than luxury homes, exotic vacations, or private islands. Most people would never recognize it. They would spend it instantly without hesitation. That possibility creates an irresistible sense of suspense every time someone examines old coins closely. And while the story of the 1979 P quarter already sounds unbelievable, you still haven't heard the final chapter of this incredible lineup. The next coin waiting ahead has become almost mythical among collectors, surrounded by rumors of astonishing value, strange mint anomalies, and discoveries that left experts speechless. In fact, some hobbyists believe the final coin may be even harder to find than the legendary quarters already discussed. So keep watching carefully, because the next story could completely change the way you look at pocket change forever. Another fascinating detail about the 1979 P quarter involves unopened mint sets from the era. Collectors constantly search sealed government packaging, hoping untouched examples with extraordinary quality may still survive inside. Some believe the best specimens were never released into heavy circulation at all, and instead remained hidden for decades inside forgotten collections. Every time an old mint set gets opened, anticipation fills the room because nobody knows whether an ordinary quarter or an elite rarity will appear. Coin grading companies have reportedly seen increasing submissions of high in 1979 P quarters as more people realize how valuable exceptional examples can become. Yet despite all the attention, truly elite specimens remain astonishingly rare. That rarity keeps demand intense and fuels the legends surrounding the coin even further. There's also something deeply nostalgic about the 1979 quarter itself. It carries the spirit of a completely different America, an era of classic cars, disco music, arcade machines, and rapidly changing culture. Holding one feels like touching a surviving fragment of that time. Maybe that emotional connection is part of why collectors become so passionate about these coins. They are not just pieces of metal. They are tiny historical artifacts that traveled through millions of lives before becoming treasures. Every worn edge and faded surface carries invisible stories from the past. And every time a remarkable specimen appears, collectors feel like they are recovering a forgotten piece of American history itself. So before you ignore the quarters sitting around your house tonight, take another look. Examine the dates. Study the details. Look closely at the surfaces, lettering, and shine. Because hidden among ordinary coins may be a discovery capable of rewriting someone's future forever. And if you thought the 1979 P quarter was astonishing, the final coin still waiting ahead is even more mysterious, more valuable, and more unbelievable than anything you've heard so far.